My name is Caden.
My name is Eli.
My name is Jaden.
And I'm Jason.
And we are the Yahuwah and the Torah YouTube channel.
And we're glad that you are with us, and we thank you for spending your time with us. And we are going over the next set of the commandments of laws of Yahuwah. And so a lot of people think these are gone and done away with, and they're hung on the cross, all has been fulfilled, and there's no longer any need for any kind of goodness or righteousness or holiness in our lives. But I would like to conclude with you, and I would like to actually say to you that we do not believe that as a team. We believe that
the laws are still with us, and that we still follow them, and that they should be followed to this day and age.
Yep, and we have dogs in the background. There's absolutely nothing we can do. That dog's name is Lion-O, and he's just he's having some eating issues, some eating disorders. All right, gentlemen, how the heck are you guys doing?
Good.
Good.
Good. Okay, so as we try to contend with the dogs, we are going to pop over here. We are going to begin right here on where we took off at, which was 110. So 111 is Exodus 12:20. And it is not to eat anything containing leaven during Passover. Okay, and so we have the dog still being bad, and Jaden is ready.
All right. It says, we're starting in verse 19. It says, "For 7 days no leaven is to be found in your houses. And if anyone eats what is leavened, the same being shall be cut off from the congregation of Israel, whether sojourner or native of the land. Do not eat that which is leavened in all your dwellings. You are to eat unleavened bread." All
right, so what does that mean, gentlemen?
All right, so that's a holy day for us. Like, is what we are as our holidays. It's a day for Yahuwah, feast day.
What is leaven, gentlemen?
Leaven is like yeast or something that makes bread rise.
Yeah, and my wife Nicole, she has a jar of just like leaven. It is like its own leaven.
Sourdough.
It's sourdough, but it's like its own leavening agent. And maybe we can get her on camera or the video one time and tell us a little bit about that. But this is what it was back in the day. They weren't able to go to the store just buy yeast, and so their leavening agent was a growing.
It's just growing yeast.
It's just growing yeast, is what Nicole says. Right. And so that is what it says. When you're actually, so every year you're supposed to put away leaven from your premise, and you start it again. And there's a whole process of doing that, but there's, what's the next one on that? 112.
It would be Exodus 13:7. No leaven shall be found in your domain during the feast of unleavened bread.
Yes, and that is Exodus 13:7.
Unleavened bread is to be eaten the 7 days, and whatever is leavened is not to be seen with you, and leaven is not to be seen within all your border.
And that's Gideon, and he's taking out Nora. This is just our house.
It's a little chainsaw.
Yeah, she's the alpha girl, and Giddy's the dad, and so we just had a little encounter there. Okay, so Gideon, and then he's going over to mess with Leo. Guys, we're just going to put this out there because hopefully you guys are our family, and you can kind of like, this is family life for us. We're always dealing with 10 pit bulls. Okay, so why is there no leaven to be found? What happened about leaven? Why are we getting rid of leaven?
All right. So leaven, we don't do leaven because when Israel was being freed from Egypt, they ran out without leaven. They had ran out with unleavened bread. And so this is a remembrance for those that what they ate on the run, and to remember that we were freed from Israel without leavened bread.
Right. Okay, so let's hit the next one. 113, which is on
12:19, we read that one.
Okay, 12:19, that's the one we just read.
Yeah, 12:18 we have not.
And we are actually going through this guy's list because his list is all kind of screwy, and so we are fixing this. So 114 is to eat matzah on the first night of Passover. What exactly is matzah?
It's unleavened bread.
Okay, and that's Exodus 12:18. We read that one?
No, we have not read 12:18.
Okay, maybe Nicole can like stop getting over there possibly. Okay, 116. Blow the shofar, the ram's horn trumpet, on the first day of the 7th month, Yom Teruah. Okay, so who has that one?
Number 29. I got it. Oh, you got it? Okay.
This is, I'm sorry, folks.
"And in the 7th month, on the first day of the month, ye shall have a holy assembly. Ye shall do no servile work. It is Yom Teruah unto you."
Yeah, and so what does that mean, Yom Teruah?
It is the day of blasting.
Okay, and so here we go. And so what do we do on the day of blasting, guys? For around here, what do we do?
The day of blasting, we take our shofars and we blow them, and we blow them, and we blow them again.
Yes, and so it's just a day of blasting. And when do we think the Messiah will return?
on the day of blasting, because that was the day he was born around the time of shofars, because there was shofar blasting when he was born. So that was around the time he was born. So we assume he will come back because it will be a calling out to him, saying that we are his people. We are calling out to him.
Yeah, and so I mean, wouldn't that be ecstatic though if we're all sitting out there blowing shofars and our Messiah comes back? All right, 117 of this guy's list: to dwell in Asuka, booth for the 7 days of the festival. Leviticus 23:42.
All right, Leviticus 23:42 says, "Dwell in booths for 7 days. All who are native Israelites dwell in booths."
Okay, why would you guys dwell in a booth?
And again, it's remembrance, or it's also practice. Because when we return to Israel and we all return to the promised land we were promised, we will all be still in booths. It'll be a test, a practice for us to know that we can put up a tent, that we can sleep in it, and because we're not gonna have a house on the way back there. And it's also a remembrance from when the Israelites left Egypt as well. They didn't have houses. They slept in tents. So it's a remembrance and a practice for future is what we're gonna do.
And so for once a year, this is a very hard commandment for us because number one, with 10 pit bulls, these pit bulls live and breathe around us, and so we'll put up a tent in the house or somewhere, but it doesn't stay up very long because they would get ripped to shreds. These pit bulls would be in and out of this. Our sukkahs would be like streamers.
Yeah.
There'd be nothing left of them. And so it is a very hard commandment for us to follow on this, but that is what we're supposed to do. So we're supposed to be out in a booth preparing for a time when we could very well be called to Yisrael, the new generation of Yisrael. Okay, 118. To take up a Lulav, palm branch, and an Etrog, Citron. I've never heard of those words.
No, I don't think that's right. It says, and you shall take for yourselves on the first day the first fruits, good trees, palm branch, twigs, leafy trees, and willows of the stream, and shall rejoice before Yahuwah your Elohim for 7 days.
See, and these are ones that
the palm branch, but I don't know what it's an Etrog. I don't think it's that. That must be that must be the willow of the streams.
Yeah, and that might be some Judaism there. I'm not exactly sure, but that is a new commandment. I didn't even know that we were supposed to do this. And what is this? What's the context of this?
It's first fruits.
Oh, first fruits. Okay, so 119. Family shall pay an annual half shekel temple tax. Exodus 30:13.
Everyone among those who is registered is to give this half a shekel according to the shekel of a Kadesh place, 20 gerahs being a shekel. The half shekel is a contribution to Yahuwah.
Okay, and so where would people send their contributions today?
We give it to the Levites back in the day, but nowadays,
yeah, there are no Levites.
I don't think you give direct because it's supposed to go to Yahuwah's people, which don't have jobs. Their jobs are serving Yahuwah, so Yahuwah is basically paying them through you. Nowadays, there is no Levites, and most people have jobs, and so you really can't be giving your tax to them.
There's definitely the Christian money changers, that's for sure.
But they're not Levites, and they weren't sacrificing.
Right, but I mean, the Christians will take your 10% on a Sunday, and they'll pass the plate. I mean, they literally collect money on their day of Sabbath. They send them money. I mean, they make a lot of money.
I don't think you're supposed to collect on Shabbat. I don't think they'd be collecting on a Shabbat day.
You should never ever buy or sell. That's for sure on Shabbat. But I mean, I tell you, growing up in a Christian church, you will never make it through 1 hour of church in any church anywhere without having at the very end, usually sometimes in the middle or sometimes at the end. Depends on if the minister's fired up. The minister's fired up and has everybody, and he'll run the plate at the very end. And, people are just like, wow, that was a really good sermon. And they'll just toss their change in there.
It's like getting a YouTube ad. Well, I'm sorry, we're glad you like your message, but can you stop for a second?
Yeah, no, and you would always have that. And there's always ushers in every church. So it is crazy. Okay, 120. Do not eat the Passover lamb raw. That sounds really gross. Exodus 12:9.
It says, "Do not eat it raw, nor boil it all with water, but roast it in fire, its head, its legs, and its inward parts." Okay,
so what is this? What are else some of the things you're supposed to do with the lamb?
You're not supposed to break its bones. You're not supposed to snap the legs and stuff of it.
And what is so? They back in the day they kept the lamb with them for how long?
I think it was about a week. Wasn't it like 7 days or something like that?
Yeah. So this is really sad when you guys actually know about the whole Passover lamb, and these people were supposed to have a lamb in their houses for I think it's a week before they actually kill it, and so they are around this thing. They love this thing, and it becomes a sacrifice. And it's amazing how our Messiah became that lamb sacrifice for us, the perfect lamb. Okay, 121. Blow the shofar before battle. Numbers 10:9.
And if ye go to war in your land against the enemy that oppresses you, then ye shall blow an alarm with the trumpet, And ye shall be remembered before Yahweh Elohim, and ye shall be saved from your enemies.
Nice. Yes, and so I guess if you guys ever go to war, blow your shofar. 122. If the bride is found impure, she can be divorced. Deuteronomy 24:1.
All right, it says, when a man takes a wife and shall marry her, then it shall be, if she finds no favor in his eyes because she has found a matter of shamefulness in her, he shall write a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house.
All right, thumbs up or thumbs down, boys?
I mean, it's the laws of God. Thumbs up, right?
You're missing the other half of this. Was this always meant to be?
No.
Why not?
Because when Yah put two people together, they were supposed to be inseparable. He put you two together for a reason.
And the man and wife.
Whether you found favor because she was impure or not pure, you were supposed to stay with that person forever.
Yeah, that is true. But why did Moshe have rules for this?
Because the people's hearts were hard.
People's hearts were hard, right? And so if I have an impure bride, that is the letter for divorcement. But hopefully, people can find pure brides. Hopefully, that is one of the biggest things out there in the entire setup is both men and women, and that's why it's important. All you people out there to stay pure. Young men, young women, stay pure. Don't go with the crowd. The crowd is raging with STDs. You don't want to be in the crowd. Okay, 123. Not to have relations with a woman who are not acquired thus. An Yisraelite man or woman cannot be a prostitute. Okay.
All right, so we're starting in verse 17. No daughter of Israel is to be a cult prostitute, nor any of the sons of Israel be a cult prostitute. Do not bring the hire of a whore or the pay of a dog to the house of Yahuwah, your Elohim, for any vowed offering. You, both of these, are an abomination to Yahuwah, your Elohim.
Okay, so there's no prostitutes, right? No prostitutes.
I mean, that's pretty simple, right?
Well, you guys must understand that our Messiah came from the lineage of, a prostitute. What do we have?
Okay, we're back up to
It's Yehuda. We had Yehuda and Tamar wasn't actually a prostitute, so I guess they didn't
and then you had David who took another dude's wife and then killed him.
Yeah, killed the man. Yeah, no, there's all sorts of great evil down the line of this stuff, so... anyway, don't whore yourself out. Stay pure, everyone. 124. Not to withhold food, clothing, and relations from your wife. Exodus 21:10.
If he takes another, her food, her covering, and her marriage rights are not to be diminished.
Yeah, that's a given, but it'd probably be more of a given back when you had several wives. I'm just saying that with a wife, you're not going to withhold food and clothing and love, from your wife. But if you had multiple women, it would be you wouldn't do things of that nature. So 125, and these are laws of God. We're just kind of speculating on this here and there. Verse 120, or not verse 125, but 125 of this guy's list, to bear fruit and multiply. There we go. Genesis 1:28, very first chapter of the entire scriptures. Who has it?
I do. And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth.
Yeah, so that isn't just one command, that is a whole bunch of them, because bearing fruit is different than multiplying, and having dominion over the air and fish and sea. There's a lot of commands in that one, so that'd actually be like a whole bunch right there. Read that one more time for us, Eli, 128.
And Elohim blessed them, and Elohim said unto them, be fruitful, and multiply, and replenish the earth, and subdue it, and have dominion over the fish of the sea, and over the fowl of the air, and over every living thing that moves upon the earth.
Basically, it's supposed to have full command on it. Okay, 126 of this guy's list. A divorced wife must receive a written bill of divorce. Deuteronomy 24:1.
So we already read this, the same one about the shamefulness, but I'll read it again. When a man takes a wife and shall marry her, then it shall be, if she finds no favor in his eyes, because he has found a matter of shamefulness in her, he shall write her a certificate of divorce and put it in her hand and send her out of his house.
Yeah, and again, don't be a family wrecker. There's ways you guys can reconcile whatever's going on, you can always reconcile it. You got to come back to your roots. You got to come back to your youth. You got to come back to when there was love in the house and carry on. Okay, 127, a man cannot remarry his divorced wife, Deuteronomy 24:4. And this is a big one. So if you end up divorced, it's over. Don't go back.
Then her former husband, who sent her away, is not allowed to take her back to be his wife after she has been defiled. That would be an abomination before Yahuwah. And do not bring sin on the land which Yahuwah your Elohim has given you as an inheritance.
Right. So this has to do with if you divorce your wife, she goes to another man, and she wants to come back to you. That's a abomination to Yahuwah. It's over. So if that's the case, move on. 128, to marry a childless brother's widow, Deuteronomy 25:5.
All right, it says, when brothers dwell together, and one of them has died and has no son, the widow of the dead man shall not become a stranger outside. Her husband's brother goes into her, and shall take her as his wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her.
All right, gentlemen. Well, here we are. Okay, so let's say for an example, one of you guys have a wife and you end up kicking the bucket, falling in the well. And so what does the law say? What is you're supposed to do?
You're supposed to
if they have no child. Only if they have no child.
If they have no child. Then your job is to give them heir to their where they couldn't have it.
Okay, and what if they do have a child?
Then I guess.
And they're on their own.
Yeah, you already have a child. You got a son from that. You got the last name. You're good.
Okay, so if she does not have a child, then you're supposed to take her in, and what if you already are married?
I don't know. I didn't say much about it. I'm sure it's normal. But I mean, Jacob had a few wives. Abraham had a few wives.
Everybody had wives back in the day. But you would fall under the law of some lands, and some lands, well, most lands won't. They look down upon that.
Well, yeah.
Okay. Excuse me, folks. And here we go, 129, two more. To free a childless widow from the obligation to marry her brother-in-law. Deuteronomy 25:9. Who has that?
All right, it says, then his brother's wife shall come to him in the presence of the elders, and remove his sandal from his foot, and shall spit in his face, and answer and say, thus it is done to the man who does not build up his brother's house.
That's right.
So if he refused to take the wife of the man to build up his brother, to give her the name of the family, then they're going to take his sandal off, and they're going to spit on his face, and I guess he walks away with only one shoe.
That's there you go. Okay, so there you go. 130, and so I guess it's very important to carry. Yeah, it's very important to 130. It's very important to carry on the name of your brother's name, essentially. Okay, so here we go. The widow must not remarry until the ties with her brother-in-law are removed. Deuteronomy 25:5.
When brothers dwell together, and one of them has died and has no son, the widow of the dead man shall not become a stranger outside. Her husband's brother goes into her, and shall take her as a wife, and perform the duty of a husband's brother to her.
All right. Let's say, for instance, there's 7 of them. And so the first one dies, and then the second one dies. The third one dies.
Let's stop you there.
Okay.
All right. There's no marriage in heaven.
Oh, there's no marriage in heaven. All right. So we're laughing because this is what our Messiah talks about, because the Pharisees and Sadducees tried to set him up.
They go after 10 brothers. If this one dies, and this brother takes her, this one dies, and this brother takes her, this one dies, they have no child, which one's the husband? And he's like,
in Shaimaim.
It's a terrible question. No one
the Sadducees believed that there was no resurrection. So for them, that was a trick question, because they did not believe that there was a resurrection at all. And so they were definitely trying to trap our Messiah in all of that. All right, gentlemen, that's it. That's another 20 of this. One day we will make it through this list. 613 laws that I believe the Jews have put together on this list. So, guys, thank you very much, everybody. Any advice out there?
Read your Bibles, follow along if you will, and start applying these laws to your life.
Yep. Okay, guys. Much love.
All
We're
right,
out.
Shalom.
Shalom. Bye, everyone.